This person has a big confession with this energy of, I am struggling to find the right words. But this is not going to be something negative. It feels like this is somebody that is getting ready to express a truth about you and this connection that they have held inside for long enough. This is somebody who has been very cautious about opening up fully to this. This is somebody who came into your life or you came into their life and there was a lot of woundedness as far as love is concerned. This is somebody that might have even kind of like given up on the idea of love altogether, and you have healed that part of them by being very patient, by not putting pressure on them, by modeling to them the essence of like what you bring to the table, not as something that is like a conditional love or a manipulative love, but the ways in which you've just authentically been yourself. It makes this person feel very like safe to even stay in that wounded space for as long as they have been, to allow themselves that time to kind of depart from the expectation that good things don't last, or love's not real, or sooner or later the honeymoon phase will be over and reality will set in, and that's when the distance happens. Like all of this kind of like pessimistic thinking, these kind of like negative sort of impressions that they had, left over from like previous heartbreaks, that it feels like this person was in like wounded warrior energy when you met them, like Nine of Wands. They felt a chemistry, they felt a spark, they felt a lot of potential between the two of you, but they were at a point in their life, of just not kind of like really thinking it would turn into anything real. They almost might have thought you were kind of too good to be true for a period of time. And so that caused them to be just very sort of distant, very guarded in this situation. And yet, through your presence, through your consistency, through the ways in which you are even very like self-sustaining, or you've not kind of like depended on this person to provide you with certain degrees of like validation or reassurance, like your self-esteem, your mood is not dependent on them. You're not presenting as like a codependent or toxic person. You are instead presenting as a very balanced, healthy, aligned, and healed person, or somebody who is actively working on their healing emotionally, romantically, maybe in other areas of your life. Like you have a lot of wonderful qualities that you bring to the table that has helped this person to very gradually kind of step beyond a place of the old stories being just like a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is somebody that is kind of like coming out from behind their shell. They are starting to look at the idea of maybe love is something that left a bad taste in my mouth before, but maybe that doesn't always have to be the case. Maybe this situation really is different. And it feels like they've told themselves that before, and this is somebody that might have just ended up right back in the same karmic patterns and loops as they were in with previous partners. And so when they came into your life, when you two came into one another's lives, it's almost kind of like, if you are the one that surprises me, great, but I'm not holding out hope for that. I'll believe it when I see it kind of an energy. It's almost like they just had very sort of low expectations, and you've coaxed them out of that place. You have lifted them up out of that place by really giving this person the ability to kind of walk that path beyond that sort of defeatist attitude or those wounds on their own. Yes, you've had firm boundaries. Yes, you've required clarity. Yes, you have modeled to this person like, this is what I bring to the table and I expect reciprocity. But there's also a sense of, in the assertiveness that you've expressed, in the firmness of these boundaries, that there's been an open door between the two of you. There's been this open invitation, kind of like, this is what I need, this is what I expect, this is what I require to be matched as far as effort, intention, energy. And unlike that being something that was like an impossible to-do list, it's kind of like you've presented that obviously and subtly, and it's really given this person something to work with in terms of like coming out of their comfort zone, coming out from beneath that rubble and that wreckage of what had been kind of like left behind by relationships in the past that had soured. So you're almost kind of like, this person might even describe you at this point like to themselves as like their saving grace. You saved them from themselves. themselves. You saved them from the wreckage of their past because you are presenting as like a light of hope, a new opportunity, something very different than what they thought they would ever experience again in love, and certainly what they thought they would be able to magnetize into their life at this point based on kind of like the attitude or the outlook that they had about connections up to this point. This might have been somebody that had kind of like a dark cloud over their head. They were in kind of like a dismal sort of energy as far as romance is concerned, very pessimistic. And you are that sunshine that has penetrated through those clouds. You've brought a lot of optimism to them, but not from a place of naivete, but from a place of understanding that they are at a choice point. They can either remain very aligned to those wounds and then nothing changes if nothing changes, or continue to embark upon this pathway of taking steps at the pace they are comfortable with and ways that kind of, exceed the boundaries of their comfort zone in order to step into the reality that truly this situation presenting itself with you can be so different from everything they have known about love before. We also have you're unlike anyone I've ever known. So this person, again, is kind of like, they don't know how to describe just how like grateful that they are to you. This is somebody that it feels like they don't know how to convey the positive impact that you have had upon them. You have healed this person without even knowing it. They are struggling to find the words to tell that to you because they don't want to come forth and kind of, express all this appreciation, and then they end up like in a friend zone, or it makes you uncomfortable, it makes you self-conscious because it feels like you didn't come into this person's life and like, oh, let me fix you, let me heal you. It may be something that it's like you're looking not for a project, but you're looking for somebody that has the wherewithal, has the ability, has actually put into practice and into motion a process of dealing with their own wounds, dealing with their own wreckage, stepping beyond kind of like the injuries of the past and moving in the direction of hopefulness. You're bringing a high vibration of love and energy and experience forth, and you expect that in kind. And so this is something that it feels like, this person wants to like acknowledge that on some level, but it's an energy of kind of like, I don't know how to convey my appreciation for you. Not just like, thanks for, taking my hand and kind of pulling me out of my own personal darkness, but also thank you for being such a bright light in my life that I'm reaching for something more inside of myself in order to be able to rise to the occasion and stand beside you in the light of day. They see you as somebody who's like an earth angel as well. It feels like they almost feel like you are an answered prayer, like you've been sent into their life as kind of like a last resort, like a last hope, an opportunity to kind of dispel all of those kind of like negative experiences or those wounds that they have held within that have made them very skittish of connection, very kind of like hopeless as far as like aligning with someone or having like a positive experience in love. It feels like this person was kind of at the point of just, again, like giving up on love, or somebody that, might have even sort of just been at kind of the brink of having like very low expectations, might not have been dating, might have just been like, I'm done. I'm done looking. It's just never going to work out for me. And you've come into their life and you've changed all of that just by being yourself. This person sees you as a very rare individual. You are a gift. You are someone who is very unique. You are someone who is very special. You are someone that they want to hold close. But this is also somebody that is very self-aware. They're very aware of that woundedness. They can mark the point of like the before and after, sort of like the breaking point, that last heartbreak that just sort of made them shut down, change their whole view on love. They know the nature of their wounds. They've been sitting with that. Those wounds have been like their best friends. It has kept them at a distance from the potential of getting hurt again, and it's a familiar sense of discomfort that they have danced with night after night, day after day for a very long time. And so there's a sense of almost kind of trying to move cautiously at this point because it's like they're reaching for something more with you, but there's a sense of like, I don't want my sharp edges to hurt you. I don't fully trust that I have yet mastered this woundedness that, if I open up to you completely at this particular point in time, that it's not going to be something where it becomes very overwhelming and I push you away or I run off in the opposite direction. Because this person really doesn't want to become one of those like hurt people energies. This is somebody that's like, I'm in the process of healing, taking steps towards you, growing in your direction, away from my own wounds and towards the light of what's possible between the two of us. This is shifting my narrative and the paradigm of who I am as a person and what I hold inside into that direction of healing, so that healed people heal people. And so this is somebody that wants to be able to kind of like match that with you. But they also are like, they know that it's kind of like healing is a work in progress, just like hurt is kind of a work in progress. And so there's a sense of kind of like, I don't want to get stuck in this trap where it's kind of like, okay, I got to be this perfect version of myself. And then the time will be right for us. Because it feels like that idea of perfection is something which caused them to kind of sit with their wounds as long as they have, to push away opportunities for good things with other people in the past because they were scared of getting hurt again. So this is somebody that's had like a lot of time to think. They're very self-aware. And so while they are almost kind of like, there are parts of myself that I don't feel are exactly like a safe place for, you know, vulnerability, tenderness, emotions to grow, there's also a lot of them that has kind of transcended beyond that. So they're wanting to kind of bring you in more to that space, bring you in very gradually to who they are as a person, so that you can see kind of the evolution that has taken place so far in their experiences with you, and also be aware that it's like, that's not all there is to them. This is somebody that is kind of like joining you in that process of, let's move beyond our wreckage, let's move beyond our woundedness, let's create safer spaces within ourselves so that we can create a safe space of love together. We also have, you're the only one who has ever truly listened to me. So there may be a sense within this person that whatever woundedness they had held within, it mirrored something within you, or maybe even a place that you were at previously on your journey. You may be somebody that like helps people with woundedness, helps people, you know, in love and romance, helps people to kind of like move beyond sort of the past, or wreckage of the past, or different kind of situations like that. You could definitely be a healer. You could be somebody in the spiritual community, you know, a light worker, somebody that just, your presence in and of itself is very healing, but this is a product of your life experiences, the version of yourself that you have cultivated and crafted out of the things which broke you apart. And so this is somebody, you know, with this energy, the only one that has ever really listened to me, that you speak to this person's wounds, not from a place of judgment, not from a place of like, okay, you better fix these things or I'm out of here, not from a place of, you know, kind of like criticizing, or, you know, if you've had boundaries with this person, you know, that it's not something that is almost makes them feel very judged because of that. Like, they understand on a certain level, like, you are exercising your discretion with them. It's kind of like, you're not getting your hopes up too high. You're taking a measured approach to them as well. You're listening to not just the words that they speak, or the actions that they've made, but kind of everything subtle, everything that's like reading between the lines. You're very in tune with this person, and not from a place of like, hey, let's trauma bond. I think our wounds would be really good with one another. But it's almost like you can see within this person like some kind of last ditch effort, some kind of desire to experience something other than that self-fulfilling prophecy of love sucks. And so the fact that you've like shown up in their life with some kind of roadmap of, yeah, that might be the case from previous circumstances, that might have been an impression that was left, or a narrative or a cliche that felt convenient, that was the voice of those wounds, but there's another way. There's something beyond that. There's love that can exist beyond that heartbreak, and it begins within self first and foremost. And so this is something that it feels like you've taken the time to kind of go beyond a place of like reactiveness to whatever sort of resistance this person has put up. Not that you're like a doormat to them, but this is almost somebody that feels like you've left like an open door between the two of you, where they have the opportunity to, of their own free will and volition, choose to take steps beyond the aspect within them that has represented like a wall between the two of you, or something that has kind of like kept them trapped within their wounds. And that is something that really touches this person in terms of like, you hear who I can be beyond this kind of wounded warrior energy. You are listening to the fact that my kind of hesitation here, my skittishness here, it has nothing to do with you. You're not kind of responding to this situation based on ego. You're honoring your feelings, but there's a component of you that sees beyond that. And you're not here trying to fix me or trying to hold space in the hopes that I'll fix myself. But there's almost a sense of like you've touched upon this person, your experiences with one another, the space, the interactions, everything that takes place in the material and subtle realms. It's almost like you are a presence in in this person's life with open arms that asks them to come and join you in this higher possibility of what love can be. But it's also very apparent that that is an experience that is something in motion. It is not something that is just kind of like a fixed point of reality. It's something that is a journey that one embarks upon. And it feels like that's exactly what this person kind of like needed to hear. They needed to experience, they needed to see, they needed to feel into in order to pull themselves out of this kind of like pit of self-pity that it feels like they've been buried in, that previous people that they may have tried to connect with romantically before they sort of shut themselves down couldn't understand kind of like how to reach this person, either just brought in those similar kind of energies of misery or faulted this person for their limits, for their fears in love, for their wounds. You instead have approached with the energy of compassion. And so this is somebody that feels like regardless of if they are able to kind of like really rise to the occasion and kind of have that empowered connection with you that they sense is possible, they feel that their life will forever be changed for the better after having come into contact with someone like you, because you've spoken to the potential of healing within this person that is a light which has not gone out within them. It is something that is helping this person to kind of find their own way to sort of illuminate beyond that woundedness, to come out of that shell little by little, to step further into the light of what's possible, the experience of healing that is possible for themselves through joining you in what can happen romantically between the two of you. So this person sees you as a gift. They see you as a blessing. They see you as a very like rare individual who has been sent as almost kind of like a messenger to speak truth to them in a way that logically they couldn't have really fathomed before, or their ego, their woundedness was kind of shut down to the reality of. But your energy has spoken to them. It has given them this invitation to step beyond that woundedness, to participate in life fully, to give love one more chance, and to start doing that by giving themselves permission to leave those old narratives behind. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.